Alright guys, welcome to the video. So this is a quick one for the new season. This is starting tomorrow, so I'll go on more depth of videos over the course of the week coming. So we have Mr. Centurion here with the big face reveal, which is pretty cool to see. I didn't think about it or expect it, but I don't think about the fashion side of things too much. We have Nusha here who receives feet buffs. You guys can check out the details here, but overall it's a longer time cast active. The cooldown 120, so it's lost a full minute. Quite a big nerf to the, or buff to that. And its overall the damage is increased. So it's 10 seconds for 10 possible ticks. It's a guaranteed 100 damage every 2 minutes with the AoE around, obviously, where other opponents, if they're within the radius, but the radius has been decreased from 5 to 6. So this is quite a big buff just to damage and the strength of it in general. And Deadly Duet sees an increase in damage dealt by 20%, which isn't crazy right now in live build, but in TG might be really strong. So that's Nusha here. I'm not a fan of the infection change. I'm not a fan of just crazy damage on feats. I like feats and abilities to augment, enhance the core gameplay loop, and which is the fight system, obviously, and you know, 1v1, xv1, xvx, etc., rather than largely damage based in their threat. And if they are, then it would be interesting if it was you know, working with the character's kit and there was some counterplay and there were some mind games that were added into it. Not a big fan of this buff on infection. Not sure how to feel about Deadly Duet. We'll see when Tester Grounds well, I guess core combat update they're calling it comes in August 6th. Shigoki here on the chopping block. These are almost certainly made with core combat update in mind. I'm going to be calling it that from here on out. Not sure why exactly. I guess they don't want this light opener to just be too much of an annoyance. They're not a big fan of the hyper armor, early hyper armor startup mechanic, which I'm not either, to be honest. But I don't want to use the argument he has nothing else, but it would have been nice to see, you know, buffs and some things for Shugo, like here with these nerfs. So maybe they're coming down the road. I mean, how much worse can he get? So I guess he's high priority for some buffs, changes, a move, those kinds of things. Maybe they'll come down the road. We'll see. But he's definitely high priority for buffs and things like that. He's got to be up there. Then we have the man of the hour, Mr. Centurion. Zone attack feintable, target swappable, as you guys saw in the footage yesterday. If you didn't, you can check in my video from yesterday or stream from yesterday. It's all timestamped for you. You just want to go to the parts that you want to see from yesterday's reveal stream. Charge heavy finishers now feintable is good. We'll see how convincing the feint is when it comes out in game. The zone looked really nice. Back in August of last year, when we initially played this type of Centurion, I thought his place in future would probably be mid lane. I still think it'll be mid lane. We'll see. He looks to me to be A, but potentially S. That's really tentative. I want to see how it plays out without playing as him or against him. I really can't give anything definitive, but at least A, I think, for sure. I'd be really surprised if he's not A tier minimum and high A at that. Then here we have Jab is now feintable. Jab feint GB can catch rollers. That was a big issue from the previous iteration that we played. Stun property removed on uncharged Jab, which is nice. The stun is just not a good mechanic in the game. I'm a big Raider fan. Love Raider, but I can see why stun is being removed from the game. Hopefully compensation for characters that relied on stun very heavily, like Raider stunning tap, will eventually come down the road so that those things are still mix-ups. For example, stun tap is LOL XD right now at the moment to BH. It's now target swappable, so I mean that's good. Stuff that's not target swappable that should be is really weird. Fully charged jab now against uninterruptible stance, which is hyper armor, so now it gets hyper armor turns to 66 ms before it lands on the fully charged jab. So similar to Warden charging his up, or Hitokiri, I guess, I think has it too. So you're gonna, that mix-up is gonna feel like playing it to Warden or Hito once he's in that chain. That's what it's should operate like when you're playing with him or into him. And obviously we have the 500 ms light change, which is long overdue. Mr. Highlander looking on quite enviously with his garbage ass neutral lights and chain lights. Poor guy. Maybe someday Highlander can be 500 mess lights too. People do like to say that crushing counters, oh, they're easier to get because of the larger 600 mess window, but I don't know, man. I see BPs and Warlords crushing counters everywhere, bro. I don't know about that one. And then we have the quick throw is gone, which is good. That's a hilarious archaic mechanic back from season 2, which was always garbage to the best of my knowledge. His parry counter now branches to jab instead of his kick, so when you go into your bash parry counter, you're going to get that. Allowing max jab off Allspat, which was displayed on stream today. Now, what this does mean is that in current life build, but not in the upcoming core combat update, he can put you completely out of stamina if your back is to a wall from one heavy parry. So that's going to be kind of annoying. So that's like the new version of his cutscene is that parry counter when the opponent's back is to the wall, and he'll go into the new cutscene, let's call it. But it's not as bad as the old one for sure. Then we have Legion Kick is buffed to 500, which was badly needed. The 600 mess Legion Kick was hilariously bad. It was so bad. This is an interesting one on the increased move with forward strafe and forward dodge distance. That's really good. Increased movement distance of zone, light opener, heavy finisher, jab, Eagle's Fury. So these are all, this is changes to deal with people back walking and being out of range and things like that. And the potential for those sorts of things to just negate an entire kit. So character ceases to function as they were intended to in their game design. Eagle's Fury being 800 instead of 1000. I wasn't too impressed when I initially saw this, but I actually think this is a really, really nice change for him in XVX and for a little bit of appeal in team fights and stuff like that. Not sure what the chase is like. The forward tracking is increased, so maybe he does have a little bit of chase. Maybe he can catch something like a roll on soft read if he doesn't catch it with with his excuse me, what would you call it? Where is it? It was back here. Jab feint GB. Yeah, so if he doesn't get that, or they just roll away or whatever, maybe, or he's trying to chase someone, maybe Eagle's Fury can do it with the increased forward distance mover. So maybe Centurion has chase. I don't know. Maybe it's like BP's chase. I guess we'll see. Gotta be slower though, right? But whatever. We will see. And then we have Black Prior here. This is essentially a bug fix. People calling it a nerf. It's like, yeah, I guess technically. But yeah, this is just functioning properly. He can't flip feeds, players on and off ladders, that sort of a thing. Now he's just going to be flipping offensive actions. Other than Garbrek, of course. Hitokiri up on the chopping block dies. Murdered. His sweep is now 1000 ms, was 800 ms. I'm not too sure how to feel about that. I need to see it in game. Play into it or with it. Seems like a good thing to me, but someone can correct me. I haven't thought about it too much. The uncharged heavy opener no longer gets uninterruptible stance. Uninterruptible stance really threw me off yesterday that they don't call it hyper armor, but the uncharged heavy now is no hyper armor. So his hyper armor has gone from the neutral on the uncharged ones. Only the Yubi has it, I imagine. Saban Sakura, his tier 4 is now considered the top unblockable and therefore parryable. A lot of people were hating on this change. I actually like it, and the reason I like it is I like the design philosophy for that. Although I would like it to be feintable for a shorter cooldown afterwards. And I'd like to see more intuitive feats work with a character's kit and be unique to that character like this. I think it's really, really interesting. The problem with this is that it doesn't really change too much of how it functions in competitive play. Because he's still going to use it on the confirms, right? So you get a revenge knockdown, that's guaranteed. If you get GB and throw someone a revenge, that's guaranteed. If you GB and throw someone when they're out of stamina, that's guaranteed. And obviously your teammates can also guarantee it with a guard break or whatever, you know. So it's still going to see like it's pretty usual functionality. I would like it to be feintable. I do like the fact that it's parryable, and I'd like if feats would move more towards that design philosophy with those interesting counterplays, and it'll be part of his character's kit. It's kind of like a special move, something like that. So we'll see how it goes. For now, I like it. My gut is telling me it's good. The game design of that is good, and it looks really bad because of, well, all the BS feats everywhere else. Big damage and Michael Bay type action. Light finishers are no longer enhanced. There's now time for the opponent to dodge the light finisher. This is targeted at the core combat update coming August 6.2, same as uninterruptible stance. So the sweep looks like a general change, but this hyper armor removals from the game look like they are targeted at the core combat update change. So it's hard to judge them for live game. They're going to suck for live game, but for TG, I don't know if they're good about changes yet until that lands. And then we have Jang Jun, whose HP is now 140 instead of 145. I'm a fan. Makes sense to me. Jormungandr, light, and melee finishers are now frame disadvantaged. I'm not a big fan of this. This is another one targeted at the core combat update coming. And the reason that they're making a frame disadvantage, which means if he lands one of his finishers, let's say second light and chain, and you both light attack, you and your opponent afterwards, your light will land before the Jormungandr's light attack. And that's what frame disadvantaged means. So he is minus on the finisher, you're plus. If you both do the same action afterwards, same speed, yours will go first. And it's the combat light spam complaints. I'm actually not so much of a fan, because I do think that I do prefer much more aggressive play and reads based play, and that's where I want the game to go. And frame disadvantage for succeeding feels really weird, and I don't know, maybe it will work in For Honor, but it makes the game kind of more turn based if you're at a frame disadvantage. But it looks like they also want to veer away from like a combo feel to it, which they don't want. They do want that back and forward, so it looks like they're going to stick with it. If they can't do it with stamina, it looks like they're going to do it with frame data. Heavy to heavy finisher GB can now succeed, so that's just so people, that mix up works. So that's the heavy to the heavy unblockable, feint to GB. This is another hyper armor nerf. So like again, this is kind of lines with looks like they're getting rid of the earlier hyper armors, looking forward to their core combat update. So Serpent Smite to dodge forward heavy, now it's 700 MS, was 100 MS. That had 100 MS hyper armor, right? And it's got like no GB vul. So I'm interested, will the GB vul be gone or nerfed too? Because right now it's a super broken option select. You can parry with dodge forward heavy. Just input dodge forward heavy when you're going to parry. And then you can feint it. And it's a super powerful option select, much like it's one of the unhealthy ones, like bash select and guard break select. I'm not a fan of those ones either in the current version of For Honor. I don't like them. Stamina damage, regeneration pause, reduced now melees. This is just kind of a game health decision. Stamina stuff, when it's strong, everyone hates it. When it's weak, everyone complains about the hero who's to rely on it being bad. And it's just, a mechanic or a character or the design is bad when, if it's strong, everyone hates it. And if it's weak, all the people who play it complain that they just can't, they're just weak. They can't play the character. Sorry, Shinobi's a great example of that. If Shinobi is really strong, like A or S tier, he's going to be super toxic to play into. It's like Lawbringer's another one. When Lawbringer's like so strong, he's super toxic to play into. It's a sign of poor game design. Or a game design issue, let's say. So like, for example, another one is Shaman, right? Shaman is strong, but Shaman is fun and interesting to play into and fun and interesting to watch, despite her, power level being so high. So when you see that combination of, if this mechanic was really strong, would everyone hate it? The mechanic's probably not all that great. So stun is another one, stamina is one. So you can kind of go through the mechanics of the game like that and see what, do a little thought experiment yourself, see how you feel about it. Lawbringer at 140 instead of 150, that's a good change. His sheer health value was nuts compared to others, especially with his powerhouse defense options. Impale now follows normal binding rules. I don't have like a good explanation for that, other than I think the GB gank now will require, GB to Impale gank will require tighter timing window for the Lawbringer to actually land the Impale. So yeah, so there's that. And that's all the slides for the characters from yesterday. Just a quick breakdown on them and how I feel about them. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts. I'm excited to hear what everyone else thinks. Looking forward to playing Centurion, the video game, for the next 2 months, or what's the story. Anyway, cheers for hanging out. I'll catch you later. Bye bye.